welcome. I'm Holly, editor of International Airport Review. Thank you for joining us for this exclusive interview sponsored by Plus Impact ahead of the International Airport Summit taking place in Berlin this November. Joining me are two brilliant voices who will feature in a panel discussion entitled How Smart Tech is Optimizing Every Inch of Your Airport. Firstly, I'm delighted to welcome Jacqui Johnson, Director and Aviation Sector Lead at Plus Impact, Serco's advisory business. So Jacqui, welcome to you.
Thank you, Holly. Thanks for having me. I'm really looking forward to talking particularly with Tara today. Thank you.
And of course, alongside her, we're joined by Tara Mulrooney, Chief Technology Officer of Edmonton International Airport. So Tara, it's great to have you here.
Great. Well, I'm excited to be part of this event today, excited to get to know Jacqui and, of course, support the Airport Summit coming in Berlin.
Fantastic. So today we'll be discussing how AI is not just a buzzword, but a real working force inside airport ecosystems, helping to streamline everything from standby location to ground handling, all while supporting safety and sustainability goals. So let's get started. Jacqui, you've been working closely with airports as they undergo digital transformation. What would you say is driving this urgency around adopting smart tech and AI in particular?
Thanks, Holly. I think there's a number of things. I've got 4 or 5 sort of points, I suppose, that really are the drivers behind it at this point in time. I think the main one is about operational efficiency and the cost pressures that the airports are under now at the moment. Certainly, we sort of see that predictive maintenance and all the other things that the AI can bring to the airports really helps them in those areas. And then things like traffic growth and the congestion that we're experiencing across all airports really post-COVID, and how we've grown so significantly across the aviation sector in that time, and struggling to keep up with the pressure of, the pressure and the demands of passengers. And that's the next thing I was going to mention is passenger expectation. They have high demands. They live in a much more techy, AI supported environment at home, in their work, their banking, and the airport sector needs to keep up with that and keep up with their demands, really. So that's a few. I was going to talk about traffic congestion as well, just on the airfield, where again it's about congestion and capacity, but where AI can bring in support around that area as well.
Absolutely. And Tara, for Edmonton, what is a challenge or a use case that is driving your adoption of these technologies?
Well, we probably already have about 30 or 40 use cases defined. And we're actually creating, we're making sure we get the basics. It's not a challenge, but we know that this is such a critical capability for us. So we want to make sure we have our policy, we have our strategy, we have that broad engagement across the airport. But the first step is really to also get our team members empowered with AI. So I know folks are really afraid of Gen AI. We're not. We want to get this rolled out in a pervasive way, and we want to train and make everyone really, really digitally competent. And so to us, to enable all of the things, Jacqui, you talked about, it isn't about buying packages. It's about enabling our workforce to really drive these outcomes and to not fear AI, but to embrace it as a way to optimize their performance.
I think that's a really good point, because I think everyone focuses on what the passenger experience must be, and I mentioned it myself, but you're talking about behind the scenes and the support that goes with that, the people in your teams and the collaboration, I guess, between your handlers and your airlines and the airport. So yes. I agree, that must be very that's probably a really complex part of it, I think so.
Yeah, we actually started a 1% improvement initiative from a culture perspective, and part of what we really believe is our people are everything. And if we can automate away some of their day-to-day administrative stuff, then they can spend more time with the passengers, which is actually achieving that goal that we have.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely. I read something today that said you shouldn't fear AI, you should fear the person that knows how to use AI, because they're the ones that will take your job. Because obviously that's where the fear comes from.
That's a great statement.
So the panel title at the summit mentions optimizing every inch of the airport. So Jacqui, what does that mean in practice from your perspective? What are the biggest inefficiencies that AI is helping to solve?
I think some of the big inefficiencies are twofold. I think that if you look at how we turn around aircraft, the airfield in particular, that's an area that really, really will benefit from from AI and just digital technology in terms of turnarounds. And we've been talking about digital solutions such as digital twin, which I know Tara's going to mention in a moment, I'm sure, because that now is everywhere. So in terms of managing, like you say, the infrastructure every inch, people don't have the budgets, like I've already mentioned, to suspend billions, and also it takes an awfully long time to grow capacity at some of these airports, depending which country, and time could be planning, but it's money. So if we can be more efficient, and this is about sweating your asset, I love that term. It really is about sweating what you've got today, and you can use AI and technology to support that. And I think that's what we mean when we talk about, you know, every inch of the airport, and it can be used in so many different ways. I think on the outside of it, you see things like customer service kiosks for check-in, but what you don't see behind the scenes as a passenger is, you know, AI being used for baggage systems to, you know, make sure that's efficient. So I think it covers every inch from the second the passenger enters the door. Not even then, actually, it covers every second from the passenger taking their journey from the time they arrive in their destination. And that, I think, for us, what we mean by every inch is not even just at the airport. It's the whole journey for our passengers. And that's one of the things I wanted to make sure I said as well. I think what gets lost in some of this is AI and digital are solutions. They're solutions to a problem at the airports, and Tara will talk about this, I'm sure, that they have. Actually, we need to be really, really clear about what the problem is, and not always assume that digital or AI is going to solve that problem. I think, Tara, when you touched on the fact that people are really important, they will always be important to our passengers. So the experience for our passengers, being able to see a face, or whatever we decide is the right solution in the future, I think AI should support that, not take away from that. And that's a really important point. So going back to Tara's point on the strategy and making sure it's being set at board level, absolutely crucial. You've got to set why you want to bring technology in as a solution, what it's going to do for your business, rather than see it as the end, you know, as the reason to move forward. You've got to decide it's the right solution to answer the right problem. And I think that's something airports really need to look at the moment.
Absolutely. I really like what you said about, you know, the endless possibilities. I think everyone's discovering that they're only really limited by their own imagination. We need to free our minds and really see that there are so many kind of endless possibilities where AI can be deployed. Tara, I'm interested in your experience on the ground. Where have you seen smart technologies like artificial intelligence make the most tangible operational difference?
Yeah, well, and I'll share that I haven't yet seen it in an airport, but in another industry, leveraging AI to help you predict or make decisions, but then driving the automation of that decision. And not to frighten folks, but if we can't make it actually actionable, that's where you really get the double win, right? So, you know, when I think about our AODBs in airports, and I'm going to be bold and say we don't need to buy them anymore. Right. And all the vendors on this call, oh dear, Tara's at it again. But really, we can create those algorithms with AI, but then we can actually have them action the gate assignments, the baggage carousel assignments. And what's important is it can be as dynamic as your business is. So without having to buy a product where the software has been programmed and predefined, AI allows us to have that speed of business, that time to market. So where we're looking at it is actually wrapping it within our current system, so our ERP. Why would we expand the ERP? Why wouldn't we leverage AI to do some of those things that perhaps our ERP isn't doing as well? Our Maximo asset management system. Why would we, again, spend all this money on enhancing it through that hard-coded sort of platform? Instead, the predictive maintenance algorithms, the planning of it, you know, get that data pipeline into our data environment, and then build that predictive maintenance model for everyone in AI. So we're actually talking about AI first and stopping buying a lot of software, which I think is really a game changer for all industries, not just aviation.
And Jacqui, same question to you. Where do you see it having the most transformative potential? And maybe like Tara, have you seen it in some other industries as well, that perhaps doing it first rather than aviation?
Yeah, I see it at places like Heathrow, which is really, really taken to being quite a leader, really, in bringing technology into what they do, and trying and testing different options and ideas and solutions. And they've certainly done a lot to manage their efficiency on the airfield, so to aircraft turnaround, and a lot of it is about, yes, it's using digital twin, but what they realised from it was is so much about collaboration between them and their, you know, handlers, the people that are working on the airport. So yes, you can bring that technology in, but you've got to have everybody engaged in it. But yeah, working really, really well, to be really clear, for them there. And they needed to do that. It's a big, busy airport, which clearly is waiting to expand, so it needs to be as efficient as it can be today. And it's been doing that for a long time. It's already sweating its assets, definitely. But doing a good job of it, in my opinion, as somebody slightly removed from it. I think they do a good job of using it on the airfield, definitely, for turnaround in particular.
Absolutely. Heathrow's such a good example, probably busiest airport in Europe.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You need to get updated on my rankings. But yeah, I know that they're looking to reclaim their kind of spot in the top 5 airports in the world. So it'll be interesting to see how they go about that in the future and optimize even further.
They will. They have to, don't they? I think that's the point. How can you improve your score quality measures? That's what they're going to be wanting to do. And
Yeah.
they're going to have to. Yeah, they're going to have to do some clever stuff, and I'm sure they've already got it in play. I'm sure they have.
And of course, we don't have opportunities without challenges. So, Tara, has your airport faced any unexpected challenges when deploying AI solutions, perhaps cultural, technical, or organizational? And what lessons would you share about this?
I think probably the biggest challenge is keeping up and trying to get ahead. So, folks are already, of course, using AI and all kinds of commutations and products. And I think just being able to wrap that in that strategy and that foundation, because without that, I think we can't really scale and get the value. So there's some great, internal capabilities. We're using AI for this or that, but how do we actually create that roadmap and that real outcome-based model? And so I think keeping up. And then not using a technology lens. So and that's really more on my team, is to get them to step away from the technology and really talk about what are the business outcomes aligned to our strategy, and to be bold, right? So I think just pushing a little bit to say, well, why would we do this when we could do this, right? So I think that's where we're challenged, and it's great opportunity. It's not a bad challenge. I think these things give us that opportunity to really propel folks into a different direction.
And how important is collaboration then between airport operators, solution providers like Jacqui, and regulators in ensuring successful AI implementation? Are we seeing enough cross-stakeholder dialogue, in your opinion?
I have to jump in because we were just on a call with ACI World and talking about ICAO and some of the papers that are being written globally about AI. And the position that we're trying to take at ACI World is to say, don't regulate this as a separate capability. Don't restrict us. However, I think there's a lot of myths. There's a lot of myths about AI and about the platforms. And so I think we have to really make sure we're clear on that and protect ourselves from the negatives of AI. But to your point, I don't think it's happening. And I think people are jumping to embed technologies into their solutions without that sort of discussion at a higher level of how do we make sure what we embed is actually safe, right, and governed, so that our boards will accept it and not be fearful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the risk is making decisions on anything that limits you being able to bring this kind of technology in later on. So any decisions that the boards are making this year need to take into account that digital AI solutions have got to be part of your strategy going forwards. And if you are making decisions on solutions or whatever you're buying at the moment, and it could limit you being able to use that for me is one of the risks that you're asking about, Holly. I think that's risky. I think that's risky to those businesses if they can't try to see 5-10 years ahead and think about it strategically as a decision that they're making. So that for me is one of the limits, definitely.
And of course, you mentioned there's a lot of fear and maybe a bit of like kind of confusion shrouded around this kind of technology. If there is one myth or misconception then about AI in airports that you would like to bust, what would it be? And that's a question for both of you.
I'll jump in first because I'm really clear on this. I think it's the personal information. It's the sort of the security risk for people that worry about, and I'm talking about staff when we're collecting data about their work, how they're doing things, how efficient we're being. So the staff might worry about that. The teams at the airports might worry about that, but equally the passengers as well. So I think there's this general I wouldn't say discomfort, but general unease about the fact that you're collecting data about me and I don't fully understand. Do I fully understand what you're going to do with that information, how you're going to use it, store it? So I think that's one of the biggest risks, just generally for people with these sorts of technologies.
I would say it's about workforce and the idea that we're going to replace people with robots and AI. To me, this is a huge assistant. This is to help you do a better job. And if used well, it will make you 10 times more productive and get rid of a lot of the manual work you do that you don't like doing. But I think for us, for sure, our intent has nothing to do with displacing. It's really about optimizing and making people superpower, giving them a superpower to help them with their jobs. So I think that's the myth we also have to break.
Absolutely. It will make their job more enjoyable at the end of the day, if that's how you can sell it to them. And what does the next wave of AI in airports look like to you? Where are we heading in perhaps the next 5 to 10 years, maybe?
Yeah, this is a good question. I think it's really, we're dabbling at the moment in a way, and a lot of airports are still trying to work out, is that fair, Tara? Trying to work out how they can best use it, right? I think you get 5 years down the line, and we will have some airports that have got good learning to share about how that's gone and how they've engaged. So the learning, Holly, definitely is going to be something we'll have in 5 years' time that we don't have today about what works and what doesn't work. People's confidence in it will have improved, certainly. And I think you'll be at that point then where you get total airport management platforms where, like we've sort of mentioned, the dream of managing the journey from beginning to end, but actually managing your whole operation, Tara, for using these technologies. I just think it's going to come really fast. So when you ask about 5 years, maybe I'm someone's going to quote me, aren't they? But yeah, I do think it's going to come at us pretty quickly, is the point. So I think it's fair to say we could be managing huge swathes of the airport operation in this way.
I actually think it's even bolder than that. I think we're going to disrupt the industry in a big way. I think when we look at who owns the customer, how do customers engage with airports, airlines, I think this is the equalizer. So I think you'll be able to predict your flight without looking at airline sites, without looking at fit screens. I think the AI capability out there and the large language models that are going to be finding this will help people make choices on travel, and it will help them make choices on airports. So I think this is something we have to embrace, we have to leverage, because I think this will enable and empower all of our passengers, customers to make different choices, which will change competition.
Yeah, and you talk about competition. That's interesting, Tara, because I also think one of the other things that the airports have to think about is their sustainable growth as well. Sustainability is the other, right at the top. And some of this will help with that. So, you're right. People are going to be able to make their own choices. They're going to choose an airport because perhaps they value the way they're delivering on the sustainable, targets. So yeah, so I think maybe there's something around sustainability as well here and how that plays in and how that benefits from this as well. I think people always try to almost keep technology and sustainable solutions away from each other. Absolutely not. The two things are totally aligned. And I think, yeah, I love that you think, see, I've gone 5 years and you've gone, no, quicker than that, Tara. Love it. That's great. Yeah.
Love that. Your upcoming panel promises to unpack these issues further. And of course, it won't just be you two on the panel. You'll be joined by many other experts of the likes of Brussels Airport, Miami, and also Rome. So what is it that you're looking to learn from the other panelists? And this is open to you both.
You go ahead,
I'll
Tara.
jump in because I'd love, of course, to hear not just their successes and their learnings, but also, hey, what would they have done differently? I think that's one of the great things about the summit is that it's a great group of folks who share both the successes and the learnings to help us maybe prevent some of those pitfalls. Really interested in personalization and again, that customer relationship. So really hoping that they share how are they engaging their customers differently? How are they connecting to their customers in a more direct way?
Yeah, I'm sort of got a slightly different time on that. I'm really interested to hear about how they're going about managing capacity using these technologies. And also you've got a number of different countries there, what they bring in terms of what's going on in Italy and in, wherever. Because I think actually bringing that global, you're putting 5 or 6 different countries together there as well, and not just the airports. I think it'll be very interesting to understand what's happening in their countries around this and what the thinking is and what the demands are. So combination really of, hearing about different, cultural differences, perhaps, about how it's embedded, that could be interesting. But also, about capacity. How are you gonna get more through, sweat the asset, whatever you want to call it, get more from your inches of your infrastructure? Yeah, I'm interested to hear about that definitely and discuss that with them.
And if anyone is watching this interview right now and just thinking, why should I come to this discussion? What am I going to learn from both of these panelists? What is your elevator pitch? What are the kind of key takeaways that attendees are going to get from both of you?
I'm looking to see if Jacqui wants to jump in, but I would say, and I've said it before, but I really think AI is the biggest opportunity for us since the internet. And don't be fearful, embrace and run as fast as you can and in a structured way, but take advantage of this. I think it's just a huge opportunity, and just start. I think that would be my message to everyone. Just start.
Yeah. And I think anybody coming to watch the panel, to come and watch the panel and see the discussion between the sort of 5 or 6 of us that are on that panel together, I think you've got so many different voices on that panel, different perspectives. I think this is definitely, when you're interested in this topic, this is certainly a panel I do think people should come along to, because I think you'll get different ideas and concepts exactly of how we can move this forward. And I think even if we have this conversation this year, it's so fascinating to see how things move on 12 months later, don't you think?
Absolutely.
And you can almost put that panel together again next year and go, so what did we achieve in the last 12 months? And I think it will be a lot. So I think people coming to watch, people coming to be part of it will get a lot from it. And like you say, Tara, and they can go away and do stuff.
Yes, do stuff.
Done, deliver some stuff to, to really improve things at the airport. So yeah.
That's very, very well said. Thank you so much for the both of you for sharing your insights today. As we've heard, AI is no longer an emerging concept. It's here, it's evolving fast, and it's already transforming the way airports operate from the ground up. Join us in Berlin on the 19th to 20th of November for the International Airport Summit. You'll hear directly from leaders like Jacqui and Tara and dive deeper into the real-world applications of AI and smart tech. Head to internationalairportevents.com to learn more and register your place. And of course, to find out more about what Plus Impact can do for you, you head to plusimpact.serco.com. If you found today's chat insightful, please like, comment, and share this interview with your airport colleagues, as it really does help. Thanks for watching, and we will see you at the International Airport Summit in November.